I don't have any slides today, but I put everything into my new blog, so you will be able to read further details in the blog itself. And I want to just show you a couple of things. And the first thing would be how to actually build a Perl module in OBS, in the Open Build service. Who has ever heard of the Open Build service? Okay, a handful. And then how you can actually use that as a CI, and then how we actually in openSUSE update our Perl modules automatically with that. So I hope that it's readable. So here you can see a pull request on GitHub, and here you see some workflows, and it says OBS, Perl, YAML PP, openSUSE, tumbleweed. So we can click on that. And then we see that the module was built successfully for several versions of openSUSE. And I would like to show you how you can actually do that for your own module. So yeah, you can read all the details in the blog, and I will go through that a little bit faster. So the Open Build service is used to build all packages for the SUSE operating system family. It can also be used for Debian packages or other package formats. And yeah, first you should get an account. And yeah, the OBS website has two layouts, and I will refer to the small layout. And if I write something about the navigation at the bottom, it might also be on the left in your view. And for that, you need Git and OSC as command. First should be GitHub. So first you create a project and a package from your home project. So mine is called Home Tinita, and then I go to sub-projects. And from there I create a new sub-project. I call it Perl modules. Then I create a package. Perl YAML PP. So we are using a Perl prefix for all our CPAN module packages. And then you can see an empty package. You can select the repositories it should build for. So also for Debian, for example, but here we use openSUSE Tumbleweed and openSUSE Leap 15.6 and 15.5. And now you can add files to your package. So first you check it out with the OSC command line tool. It feels a bit like SVN. Anyone still using SVN? Yes. So we have the checkout command, and it's empty so far, and now we need to add an underscore service file, an XML file, and this is how it looks like. So it has a service name OBS STM, and here you specify the URL to your GitHub repository and the revision. It could be a branch name. Yeah, version prefix and version format are not that important for now. The SCM you should choose. It can generate changes, and your email address and the file name. So this should be Perl YAML PT, like Perl, and then the CPAN distribution name. And yeah, some other stuff for tar. Just copy the file and you will be fine. And we need a spec file, of course. So RPM actually knows how to build the package. So we have Perl YAML PP again, just an arbitrary version for now. Yeah, you will be fine just copying the file and adjusting the stuff for your module. And this source 0 is something that is generated by the _service file from GitHub. And here you specify the requirements. So you need Perl, of course, as a requirement, and Perl macros, and then your own dependencies for the module. So in my case, module load and test more. And you have to repeat that actually for the requirements if something is needed for the build, and for the actual runtime, you need to specify it twice here. And that's just another macro that you just can add, and RPM will do the right thing. Description, prep, yeah, just copy that and it will work in most of the times. And now I can add those two files to OSC with OSC add and OSC commit, and then it's uploaded. And now if I look at the home project in OBS, I can see there is the service file now, there is the spec file, and there are some other files which are generated by the service. And if I scroll down a little bit, then I can see it's actually already building, so everything worked. And now, what do you do if you have a new version? So you commit something to your module, and you can actually hit a button, trigger new service, and then it will fetch the new sources. But of course, you want to do that automatically. And for that, you need a token and a GitHub webhook. So let's create a token. How much time? 5 minutes? 12. Okay. Yeah, you can look at the blog, and yeah, you have everything documented in details, where to put the token and stuff, because that sometimes can be confusing. And you create a webhook. And already after creating the webhook, you will see that this will build again. It will be triggered. And now with every commit to the main branch, it should be rebuilt. But of course, we want to get something like this. With every pull request, you want to see a build from the pull request. And that's also possible. It's a little bit more complicated because you need a developer token from GitHub and OBS token. So here you create a personal access token, and you copy that, and then you create a token in OBS, and it needs to be a workflow token. And then you create a webhook again, similar to what we did previously. And here you need to select pull request and pushes. And then we need to create the workflow configuration. So that's under .obs workflow. And we call our workflow PR, and it has one step. It branches the package. So our Perl module is under home Tinita Perl modules, and OBS should branch from there, and it should branch this package to this target project. So it's a sub-project of the Perl modules project, and the event it should trigger on is a pull request. And now you just create a pull request. And if you create it, then you can actually look at the sub-projects of the Perl modules. And here you see this sub-project with that very long name. And you can look into it. And it already started to build. And if you look at the pull request, then you will at some point see all the successful checks or the failing checks maybe. One thing is OBS workflow has this limit that it only appears when the check is finished. So you don't see any pending checks, and that might be a little bit confusing. And I hope they are still working on it to make that work. Yeah, troubleshooting, so the GitHub webhooks and also the OBS token side that allows you to look into when it was triggered, with which payload it was triggered, if it returned an error message. And so now you can all use OBS as a CI for your Perl module, and it might be useful, you know, more platforms to test are always good. We are glad that we have CPAN testers. That's really great, but yeah, more is better. Are there any questions about that so far? Yeah, it's just Linux. No limit, but it can take a while sometimes until someone builds it. All workers are busy, then yeah, no limit so far. Really. And also now I want to show you how we actually maintain our Perl modules in openSUSE. So we use the OBS for all our packages in openSUSE. And for the Perl modules, there is the devel languages Perl repository. So this is how it looks like. So 3,167 modules. And yeah, lots of modules, and some of those have a link. And the link is actually a link to openSUSE Factory, and only the modules that have a link to openSUSE Factory actually land in openSUSE Leap or Tumbleweed. And the others are just meant for devel language Perl. So if anyone wants a module from there, they can add this specific repository to get that module. And yeah, if someone says we need this in Tumbleweed for some reason, then they can also try to submit it for Tumbleweed. But it's already in devel language Perl. And yeah, in Factory we have almost 1,400 Perl modules. And of course, how do we update them? It's really too much to do that manually, and so we have an automated process. And one part of that is a script to generate a spec file. So that's called CPAN spec, and it's the changes file goes back to 2006, but I think it was already developed before that. And it's a big monolithic script, and I inherited it to maintain it, and I tried to add more subroutines over time, but it's still big. And it tries to find out as many information as it can from the included meta files, so the meta.json or meta.yaml file. But it also has to load stuff from the pod or from other files. And some of this is really easy, but there are some challenges. So we need to find out the distribution and module versions. And this can already be difficult because, for example, the LWP user agent, the distribution is called lib www minus Perl. And normally it's actually with like something like YAML-pp. And that's also the module name, but yeah, it's not always like that. You need the module title, the summary, and the description, and the license. So the license can be in a license file, also in a license file with an S, or in a file named copying, or it's just in the meta.yaml or in meta.json. But it also might be that the meta.json says unknown license. And then we look into the pod of the main module, and there is often a header that we search for and find the license there. If we find nothing, then we mark it in the spec file, and then we actually have to check manually. And yeah, sometimes people just forget to add the right header to the pod. And we need to find out which files are supposed to be documentation. Which file actually contains the changelog, because we want to generate a changelog ourselves. And of course, we need to find out the requirements of the module. And yeah, like I said, sometimes a module is just missing this information, so missing a license is actually not that rare. And also any non-Perl dependencies cannot be handled, of course, with CPAN meta files. If you need a C library or anything. And for that, we have a CPAN spec file. It's a YAML file. And we manually override things like requirements and also patches. So if there are patches that we have that are not yet in upstream, then we write that into the file. And CPAN spec then generates the spec with the help of that file. And that's good, because if there is a new release and we would have done the changes manually to the spec file, then it would be overwritten. And I actually put everything in one big file recently, because for the Perl Toolchain Summit we want to look at dependencies, and so you'll find the link in the blog. And this is, the collection of all overrides we have in our Java language Perl repository. So build required stuff and patches. And you might even find your own module in there. How many people are here with the CPAN module? Okay. And versioning is also a big challenge. How many minutes do I have? Okay. So let me be fast. So Perl versions are decimal, so 3.19. Actually, you should say 3.19, and that's the successor would be 3.2, and 3.2 is bigger than 3.19, right? That's mathematics. But for RPM, it's different. So 3.19 is really the 19, and then it's greater than 2. And in the past, we just put the version from CPAN literally into our spec, which is just wrong, but everyone does it like that, almost everyone. And so, in those cases, actually, it's wrong. It leads to unresolvable modules because they require 19 and they only get 2. And I'm actually, I started the process of converting all those versions now to the normalized versions, which you can get with version cards and then normal. And it might be surprising for actually many people. I've experienced that 3.14 is actually 3.140 in a normalized version. And a number with more than 3 decimals is split into triplets. So yeah, this version will become this. And in the transition period, we will get probably some unresolvables. And yeah, it's a big how do you say, big project. And also, yeah, not many do this actually. So for Modulicious, we see in the repository page that there are many that just use the CPAN version, but there are some which are using the normalized version, Gentoo, Raku, OS. It's great because Repology actually says, hey, that version is bigger than the one on CPAN. It's untrusted, and that's why it's gray. So yeah, Repology cannot cope with that. And yeah, okay, you can read all the rest in the blog. And yeah, I think I'm at the end of the time anyway. Do we have time for a question or two?